What up, guys? Welcome to another AMA. Hold on, let me put on my beef tallow beeswax lip balm. This stuff's sold out, but it's back in stock soon. Wow, amazing. I was in Mexico for a little while with my fiance. Got some work done down there, but mostly was just surfing, soaking up the sun. It was amazing. If you haven't been to Mexico, I highly recommend it, especially if you want just a nice, warm surf trip. And it's very affordable. Love that country. Ate some good food, definitely went to the store and just stocked up on healthy food. So I was cooking in my Airbnb. That's how I stay healthy on those trips, make sure I hit my protein goal, all that. But let's dive into another AMA. You've left your questions below about health, about wellness, about life, whatever you want, honestly. I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Let's get into it. What do we got? Brendan, what are your thoughts on seed oils in soaps and other cosmetic products, I assume he's saying? So this is common. You'll see canola oil, sunflower oil, and other seed oils in cosmetic products. Here's my thing. Is it as damaging as consuming large amounts of seed oils every day through your diet? No, definitely not. You're not absorbing those fatty acids that I think have some concerns into your body the same way you would be if you're eating them. However, I think it's a clear sign of a product being cheap. Let me explain. Burt's Bees, for example, they came out and they used to use beeswax. Beeswax is an amazing ingredient in cosmetics. It's non-comedogenic. It's extremely nourishing. It's amazing. Beeswax is great. There's actual studies on it, which I've done some pieces on about the studies on beeswax being very good for your skin. Now, when Burt's Bees gets purchased by Clorox, which is a major bleach company, just a mega conglomerate, they end up adding soybean oil to their formula. Why? It's not because soybean oil is so good for your skin. It's because it's cheap and it gets the job done for them to make a product that, looks decent. It is a clear sign that a brand has just gotten so cheap and is trying to maximize their profit margins. So I'm not really a fan of it, but if you have a product that you like that has seed oils in it, definitely not the same thing as eating a bunch of processed seed oils, so you should be fine. Brendan, can you go into depth on why I'm getting toe/foot cramps while I'm performing physical activity? So there's a few things going on there. One, are you hydrated and mineralized? Are you, consuming sufficient electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, sodium before you do your physical activity? That's one type of cramping that the body will experience. The other is more neuromuscular. So what I would start doing is when you wake up, take a lacrosse ball and put it on the bottom of your foot and start rolling out those muscles. And you can also try a golf ball. You can try different things. Just get into the fascia on the bottom of your feet. And then you're going to do some foot strengthening routines. There's some group out there on Instagram, I think called the Foot Collective or something like that right now, where they have all these cool little bands where you're like strengthening your big toe and stuff like that. You can try wearing toe spacers. You can buy those on Amazon for like $2 because women wear them when they paint their toenails. Or men in today's society, whatever you want to do. But they wear toe spacers, but this is actually good to just kind of walk around these because your toes are actually supposed to be able to splay out a bit more than yours probably do because we wear shoes that crowd our feet, etc. You also want to start spending more time barefoot. You don't want to have to be one of these people barefoot at the store like our buddy Organic Jaguar, aka Austin is. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? I wear my Jordans if I'm in the store, whatever. I'm wearing Nikes right now. But there is tons of benefits to spending more time barefoot. So when I walk the dog or something like that, sometimes I'll be barefoot. You strengthen your feet that way. Try those things, and I bet after a couple weeks of that, you won't experience those cramps. Brendan, should I be taking electrolytes even if I can't exercise or get a good sweat going? He's dealing with some injuries or whatever. So here's what I'd say. You are still losing minerals regardless of if you're exercising or not. You're going to lose more if you're exercising, but even in the cold, there's studies on this. People lose electrolytes through their urine. So I would say you can get some benefits from a salt-based electrolyte. However, if somebody's like saying, hey, I'm an athlete, I'm exercising hard, 4 hours a day, I'm sweating, you should probably take more electrolytes, and I would definitely put it in like the top 5 supplements you should be taking if you're an athlete. If you're not exercising at all, I think there's other things that you could dial in before electrolytes. You should probably look into some magnesium, potassium, something like that. So no, not necessary, but could be a benefit. Brendan, how bad are fragrances? This guy's using cologne 3 or 4 times a week, and he's wondering if there's any concerns about these fragrances. Yes, there are significant concerns about fragrances. There are some studies on this and, fragrances, artificial fragrances affecting lung health. But really the biggest thing is you don't know what's in there whatsoever, and they are artificial fragrances. I think there's a huge difference between companies doing stuff that is made with natural essential oils, which have been around us forever, versus artificial fragrances, which can have forever chemicals in the manufacturing process. There can also just be, hormone and endocrine disrupting compounds in there. I would not be spraying that stuff on my skin and inhaling it just throughout the day. For me personally, you tell me, When I, inhale one of those, if somebody has one of those Glade air fresheners in their house or in their car, or if I walk by, like I was just in the airport and I walk by that duty-free place where there's all those colognes, I get a headache. Within like 30 seconds of smelling that, I get a headache. And this is not uncommon. Many people actually have that symptom. So if there is something like artificial fragrances that give a certain amount of the population severe headaches when they smell them, do you really think that you should be spraying this on your skin and inhaling them? If you want to use a cologne here and there, go for it. It's not something I would have in my daily routine, especially when there are natural options that smell good. I take Austin's lotion, wherever it is, somewhere around here, the Organic Jaguar Body Lotion. It smells amazing to me, and it's all natural ingredients. So I'll rub a little bit into my skin, on my arms, on my neck. I don't like using it on my face that much because it does have olive oil, which is about a 3 out of 5 on the comedogenic scale, so it doesn't really work great with my skin on my face, but it smells amazing. That is a better option in my opinion. Brendan, how would you clear mind fog and or unwanted stress and anxiety? So there's many aspects to stress, anxiety, overall brain fog. What I would definitely first do is dial in the health aspects of it so you can set that aside, so you can put that away. With so many of these things that people have, they're saying, I'm depressed, I don't feel good, I'm anxious, I don't feel good. Okay, let's first look at your just biology and let's get that dialed in so you know that that isn't a major factor. And if you don't believe me on this, you can look at the 10, 20 studies on depression and increased inflammatory biomarkers. So people that are depressed, oftentimes, like you're talking 90% in some of these studies, have increased inflammatory biomarkers. So let's just address that stuff right there. Vitamin D levels. If you don't have optimal vitamin D levels, I don't know what you're doing. It's super easy to dial in. You're talking literally pennies per day for a vitamin D supplement to optimize your vitamin D levels or get out in the sun. So you can get those labs checked, usually around $20-$30 to get a lab test for vitamin D. The recommendations are usually between 30 nanograms per milliliter of vitamin D to 50. 30 to 50 is like what they say where you should be at. My functional medicine doc, he says 60 to 90 is where you really want to be at. So take that for what it's worth. The next thing you want to dial in is your sleep. Are you getting 8 hours of good sleep every single night? And are you falling asleep at sort of the same time and waking up around the same time? And I do think you should wake up slightly earlier. You don't have to be some 4 a.m. guy, but you should at least try to get up by about 7 a.m. Find out when the sun comes up and definitely don't try to get up long after that because that has been shown to just lead to more anxiety, more depression. And after you get up, you want to start to get light in your eyes, get hydrated, and get some type of movement in. Tons of studies on that, helping with anxiety, helping with overall stress. So those are some things that you can do to just dial in your biology. Are you hitting your protein goal? Are you working out? There are other things such as journaling and writing stuff down that actually do have studies on them. The other thing with anxiety is you need to learn to control your breath. When people get anxious or stressed, it is very common for them to just lose control of their breath. They start mouth breathing, they start shallow breathing. And whenever I get some anxiety or stress, I always try to go back to my breath and at least calm that down. Deep inhales through the nose, big exhales out of the mouth, and that can help start to just lower your cortisol, all that. Supplements like ashwagandha have been shown to lower cortisol levels about 14 to 18% in some studies. That can help. So there are things you can do right there. But overall, I mean, hey, if something in your life is going very poorly that's causing you to be stressed and anxious, you need to address that. However, those two things go in tandem. You dial in your health and you dial in the actual stuff that is going on in your life, and you will be a less stressed and anxious person. If it's financial issues, go make some money. If it's an issue with a friend or family member, address it head on. You will feel better. Brendan, would you recommend digestive enzymes? If so, which ones? Wow, digestive enzymes have been this thing that I've been on this year, and it's been absolutely insane. One of the things I learned this year is that many people with acid reflux actually have low stomach acid. And it's one of the most frustrating things that I've been diving into and learning about lately. You'll let people go to the doctor and they'll say, I have acid reflux. And they'll basically give them a drug that lowers their stomach acid. And this can temporarily help symptoms when they're getting the acid reflux. They eat something and they're getting acid reflux and they go, oh my God, let's take all these drugs that you see advertised on every, football game. It's insane. There are studies showing that these people have actually low stomach acid, and that's why they're getting the acid reflux. And it's very counterintuitive, but, I had a friend come to me and they were like, hey, I have acid reflux. It's really bad. And I told him, hey, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I'm just saying, here are all these papers showing that taking something called betaine, HCl, and pepsin, which are, bile enzymes, try taking those before every meal is what I told them. They messaged me 2 weeks later. They said, my acid reflux has completely gone away. I've been dealing with this for 8 years. They were pissed. They were like, what the heck? Why was I not told this earlier? It's been a nightmare for me. And it's pretty crazy. Basically, there is betaine, HCl, and pepsin, and your digestive enzymes can actually be lowered through stress, antibiotic use, alcohol use, poor diet. If you eat a low-fat diet, for example, for a long period of time, there are enzymes such as lipase that help digest fat in your body. Now, those can get lowered when you start doing maybe low fat. You try vegan for a while. Those enzymes can basically stop being produced in the same quantities that they were before. So sometimes when people are like, oh my God, when I eat meat, it's hard for me to digest, try adding in a digestive enzyme. There's pepsin, there's betaine, HCl. Those are more intense enzymes. I'd like get one at Whole Foods. It's called Daily Digestive Formula. There's lactase, which I did a whole piece about how I started adding in the digestive enzyme lactase as I reintroduced dairy into my diet. Lactase helps digest lactose. And what I feel like that did is help my body learn to digest dairy. And now there's no, deep science on this, but I wasn't really able to digest dairy. And what I did is I started to add in low lactose dairy at first, Parmesan cheese, yogurts, whey proteins, and I would take a lactase digest enzyme. And then I started to phase that enzyme out. I started to add more dairy, and now I drink dairy every single day. And it's amazing. It's a great source of nutrients. Huge fan of digestive enzymes. But it's not something that you need to rely on for the rest of your life. I would do them for a period of time, like, a couple months, something like that, or maybe when you have a big meal. But overall, I'm a big fan of them. What do you recommend for a teenager who has a phone addiction? Man, this is getting crazy common, like an actual addiction to your phone. Hey, I experienced this. I am somebody who works off of my phone. So my brain is always like, hey, you got to work. You got to, push out, the electrolytes. You got to post this post. And it's fun. I really enjoy it. But I notice myself getting addicted to my phone. So what do? I have a couple rules. When I wake up, I don't use my phone for a little bit. So I'll turn on my phone and I just look at the home screen to make sure I don't have, 400 missed calls from my mom or something like that. Like something crazy's happened. And it's almost never the case. So then I put my phone away and it's hydration and stretching. So my phone isn't being used in the beginning part of the day. I saw a neurosurgeon actually do a post about going into some of the neurobiology of why you shouldn't use your phone in the first 30 minutes of the day. Basically, what they're saying is your brain is way more impressionable in the first 30 minutes to hour of the day. And this is why you should do stuff like gratitude, like stretching. There's many different reasons that you shouldn't use your phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. Pretty easy to do, honestly. It's not hard. I'm not like, oh my God, I need to use it. I know that I'll check it in about 30 minutes to an hour and everything's all good. The second thing I do is my girlfriend and I take the dog to the park every single evening. We don't bring our phones. And that gives us about an hour and a half, just no phones whatsoever. I feel like that's a very good strategy. Other than that, I'm not some guy who thinks you should constantly or completely avoid using your phone. It's 2024. The phone can be a tremendous source of knowledge, information. It can connect you with friends. So what you're using it for really matters. So you just need to have some discipline there at the end of the day. So you should schedule in some time blocks where you don't use your phone, and it will allow you to basically control that hand to face motion, which is very subconscious for many people nowadays. Just put a little bit more attention on it and see how you feel. Brendan, should you be taking different variations of magnesium? So as magnesium supplements have skyrocketed in popularity, there are tons of different forms of magnesium out there. Magnesium glycinate, magnesium threonate, magnesium orotate, magnesium citrate, magnesium oxide, magnesium malate. There's tons of different forms of magnesium. Should you take them all? What should you do? So listen, why I don't recommend doing these mega doses of magnesium, like people getting, 600 milligrams, 800 milligrams, a gram magnesium per day, is because if you eat a pretty healthy diet, you're going to get a few hundred milligrams of magnesium in food. And that is the best source. In my opinion, you shouldn't, you don't have to take any supplements. Like obviously I sell supplements. I love supplements. But if you can get everything through your diet, great. Magnesium is hard to get through your diet. It just is. The actual soil in which the crops are grown in contain less magnesium than ever, so the actual food has less magnesium. But if you have a pretty good diet, fruits, vegetables, meat, real dairy, you're going to get some magnesium in there. Dark chocolate has some magnesium. So you're going to get probably, it's tough to say, but I've done a whole spectrum of my diet, and I'm getting around 200, 250 milligrams of magnesium. They say to get about 400 milligrams of magnesium in per day. So then I sip our electrolytes, which have, 60 milligrams of magnesium in there per scoop. And then I take about 200 milligrams of magnesium from our magnesium potassium capsules. As far as the different forms go, in my opinion, magnesium glycinate is one of the best forms of magnesium because of its benefits for the gut and skin. Okay, this is magnesium bonded with glycine. Glycine is an amino acid that's been shown to help skin health, been shown to help gut health, been shown to help muscle health. There's tons of benefits of glycine in of itself. Now, other forms I like are magnesium L-threonate, which crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's one of the only forms of magnesium that can do so. You've probably heard Andrew Huberman talk about it. And we have a formula through Santa Cruz Medicinals, which has CBD, magnesium L-threonate, and magnesium glycinate in there. The thing is, magnesium L-threonate is very expensive. It just is. Bulk, it's just expensive. So I don't even push that much because you can get affordable magnesium through Santa Cruz Paleo, and it's going to be $20 for a bottle of magnesium glycinate. So if you have a lot of money and you want to try magnesium L-threonate, it's pretty cool. Some people think of it as more of a nootropic. Other forms of magnesium I think are decent are magnesium malate. What I would really avoid is magnesium oxide and citrate. Citrate isn't the worst thing in the world. However, it causes gut distress in many, many, many people. Like, man, I've heard so many times people drink the magnesium calm product that they sell. It's a very popular one, and they will just have gut distress. I can't see that being good in any way, shape, or form. You drinking magnesium with an extreme laxative effect. Not really a fan of that, but if it works for you, it works for you. So those are the forms I like, but no, you don't need to be consuming like 9 different forms of magnesium. Brendan, what are your thoughts on BCAAs, branched chain amino acids? People, buy these as supplements. They drink them throughout the day. I think BCAAs are largely a waste of money, and they're pretty dumb to buy. Here's why. Listen, you're going to get amino acids through your food. And if you really want to invest and have 6 or 7 supplements in your go-to stack, a protein powder is going to get the job done that BCAAs would, and it's going to be more affordable. It's going to taste better. There's really no need for BCAAs. Now, there's, studies now being done on essential amino acids. I've taken branched chain amino acids before. I just didn't really experience a big benefit from them. And honestly, you're probably better off adding another scoop of protein powder into your protein shake than spending money on BCAAs. So in my opinion, it's not something that's in my supplement routine, and it's definitely not in my top 10, 20. It's probably not even in my top 50 supplements you should be taking. So kind of a waste of money in my opinion, but let me know what you think below. All right, this next question is a long one. This guy says basically that he's 21 years old. All of his blood work is fine. All of his tests are fine, but he has zero energy whatsoever. He says he gets sleep. He says his diet is good, but he just says he has no energy whatsoever. So if I were in his shoes, here is exactly what I would do. First of all, here's what's going on. If you go to a normal doctor, or even a pretty good doctor in the Western medical system, and you get lab work done, it is not the same as going to a functional medicine doctor and getting that lab work done. The problem is functional medicine doctors are insanely expensive because they operate outside of the insurance system. Let me give you an example. If you go to a normal doctor, you will just get, if you want to get a hormone panel, if they even give you a hormone panel, which is very hard to do just with a normal doctor, they're like, you're healthy, you don't need it. Let's say you get one done and your testosterone comes back and it's 400. They're going to be like, you're good to go. Yeah, you're great. It is not an in-depth dive into your blood work. Versus with my functional medicine doctor, I did something called the Dutch hormone test, which is where you are testing your hormones at various points throughout the day for days on end, and you get an actual picture of what is going on with your hormones because they fluctuate throughout the day. And I've done lab tests recently where I tested all my neurotransmitter levels. I've done lab tests recently where I do my full gut panel. You literally mail in your poop to a lab. It's weird. But from there, you can see if you have an infection. You can see actually your gut bacteria. That is the route I would go for that person who has an issue that they cannot figure out. So it kind of sucks. It's very expensive, but you could have a severe gut infection that nobody notices. You could have a severe H. pylori infection or a parasite of some sort that is just zapping your energy, and nobody's going to really detect that through basic blood work and stuff like that. So good luck. I don't have an exact answer for you, but if I were in your shoes, I would go get lab tests done through a functional medicine doctor that's doing a GI stool exam. I would do an organic acids test. I would do a Dutch cortisol and hormone test. I would do stuff like that versus just going to the same doctor over and over again. They're not going to dive in very deep. All right, this kid says, Brendan, I'm 11 years old. Do I need to bulk to grow taller? He's 11 and he's 4'11". Okay.
He says he needs to grow taller.
And he says he needs to grow taller. Okay, here's the deal. Honestly, yeah, if you're 11, you actually can do things that'll help you get to your full potential in height. These people asking me, I'm 27, I want to grow taller. Should I buy a True Height vitamins or something? Bro, no, it's not going to work. You realize that company would be a $1 trillion company if you ate a gummy and you grew 4 inches, okay? So yeah, those things aren't going to work. So listen, if you're 11, you shouldn't try to go do a bulk. You should just eat a bunch of nutritious food and stay active. You don't need to be worrying about bulking or cutting if you're 11 years old. What you need to worry about, you shouldn't worry about shit. What you need to worry about is you need to just eat nutrient-dense foods. Avoid processed food as best you can, but honestly, if you want to have some here and there, go for it. You're 11 years old. Make the majority of your diet real whole food with good protein sources, which is very key. I would definitely also try to add in some high-quality dairy, as calcium is an important nutrient. So try to get some Greek yogurt, try to get some real whole milk. Find some of that stuff and eat that. The other thing you actually can do, the only thing that's actually studied for height, is sleep. Sleep is when a lot of growth hormone is released. So if you're one of these kids that's on their phone all night and you're getting 3 hours of sleep, that can negatively affect that. So you want to make sure to optimize your sleep. But honestly, the best way to do that is getting a lot of exercise during the day. You're going to be able to go into deep stages of sleep and fall asleep earlier if you're getting exercise. So work out, eat good food, and get good sleep. You're going to be good. Brendan, I've been dealing with some inflammation in my chest, this guy says, and he's been using this stack of natural anti-inflammatories like turmeric, ginger, and omega-3s. And what he's concerned about is I've talked about how I don't use turmeric every single day because turmeric is very effective at lowering inflammation, but inflammation isn't some evil thing that you never want. Exercise, for example, induces inflammation. You don't want to always be trying to lower your inflammatory levels as much as possible, especially if it's good inflammation. So here's what I'd say. Turmeric and the studies I've looked at, I wouldn't use turmeric every single day. Omega-3s you could probably use every single day. Your omega-3 index, I don't know what you're eating in your diet, but having some high-quality omega-3s is not a bad idea. Hopefully that fish oil that you're using is not oxidized, but that's another topic. I would cycle in and out of the turmeric. Ginger is a bit different. It doesn't have as big of an anti-inflammatory expression as turmeric does in studies, and it can help digestive health. So I wouldn't worry if you like taking the ginger every single day, go for it. However, turmeric-wise, I would probably cycle that. I'd probably do 6 weeks on, 3 weeks off. That's what I'd personally do. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the omega-3s and the ginger there. Go for it. Brendan, what would you do if you had parasites? I can't seem to get rid of them naturally. So there's been all this stuff on TikTok and just holistic health, pages about parasites. Listen, so many of these pages try to convince you that everybody has parasites in their body and you need to get rid of them. Now, while it is true that many people do have parasites, it's not really what you think it is. What you need to do is get a GI stool test to actually confirm if you have a parasite or not. If you just follow one of these pages that sells you some parasite cleanse of some sort, you might just be going down a horrible path and really wreck your digestive health, especially if you don't have a parasite. And also, what if you just have elevated E. coli bacteria or elevated, H. pylori levels or something like that? Then there are herbal protocols that you can do. Wormwood is one that's heavily researched. There's many different things. But you should probably work with somebody who's an expert in that and can help you clear the parasite. And you should actually find out if you have parasites before just doing a parasite cleanse because, man, it's a big fear-mongering thing. People go, you have parasites, and you need to do this cleanse. Like, no, actually find out what's going on in your gut and then address it. Brendan, what are your thoughts on the portable tent saunas? So these are very popular nowadays, and they're actually pretty affordable, and you basically buy this thing, and it's just like a little tent, and you get in there, and it's a sauna, basically. I actually think they're kind of cool. Is there a concern over EMFs and the plastic leaching because these things are made very, very affordably, I'll call it. They're made cheaply. There's definitely concerns with that. However, I think the benefits of getting in a sauna would probably outweigh that. However, if you were to tell me, hey, you have two options, go to a 24-hour fitness and sit in that sauna or sit at home in a tent sauna, I would think the sauna at the 24-hour fitness would probably be better because there isn't so much plastic heating up. You're not in that enclosed environment breathing heated plastics, basically, with some of the manufacturing equipment in that tent. So that is what I would do. And then obviously the level up from there is buy your own barrel sauna, a couple grand, put it in your backyard. But 24-hour fitness, not a bad option, or whatever gym you have locally that has a sauna. It's probably going to be better health-wise than the tent sauna. Brendan, I love your electrolytes, but I noticed they're 1 calorie per serving. Will drinking this during a fast disrupt my fast? No, it will not. It's 1 calorie. It will not disrupt your fast. If you're fasting for something like Ramadan or something like that, yeah, sure. I think technically that calorie would disrupt your fast in terms of that. But no, and consuming a salt-based electrolyte during a fast is an extremely good idea if you are going to do something like that to keep your body mineralized and keep yourself hydrated. I think that's what a lot of people have been doing. A lot of people have been using our electrolytes to do water fasts with, which I'm not even a fan of long-term water fasts, but let's say you're doing a 24-hour one, you should be consuming electrolytes for sure. Brendan, what is a good toothpaste to use? I've been hearing people saying fluoride is good, fluoride is bad. What do you think? So I'm actually not overly concerned about fluoride in a toothpaste. I am concerned with it being added to our drinking water. I think that's just a little bit strange. But as far as if you want it in your toothpaste, that's a different topic, and you can kind of control that, and you're not ingesting a lot of that, hopefully. The toothpaste brand that I use is called Boca. They use something called non-nanohydroxyapatite. It's basically a Japanese version of fluoride, but it's not fluoride. So it helps remineralize your teeth, but it doesn't have any fluoride. So that's what I use. Boca, no affiliation with them whatsoever. Just look up BOKA toothpaste. That's what I have in my household. That's what I use. Brendan, what are your thoughts on oats overnight? It's been this brand's been making a big push saying, hey, we have overnight oats with some protein in there. First of all, right out the gate, these are about $4.50 per serving. I think that's a just travesty for oats, okay? And then we get into the ingredients. When you look at their ingredients, they have sugar in there. It's not a tremendous amount of sugar, but where a lot of that sweetness comes from is acesulfame potassium and sucralose. So they have artificial sweeteners combined with actual sugar in there in many of the varieties. I don't think that's good. Listen, I'm not somebody who eats a lot of oats. I'm not very against oats, especially if you soak them and reduce the phytic acid. So that's why overnight oats can be a good way to prepare oats. You are wasting your money there. You're going to spend $4.50 per serving. Go get some organic steel-cut oats if you want and make your own overnight oats. You can do it with water. You can do it with milk. You can add a little bit of fruit. You can add some maple syrup. It's very easy to do. Get some mason jars and make a few things of overnight oats in your kitchen, like by yourself. You don't have to buy this thing. And you're going to save money, and you're also not going to be consuming artificial sweeteners every single morning. So not really a fan of them at all. All right, guys, that is it for this week's AMA. We have restocked the whey protein. This one's almost done. See, I go through this stuff. Vanilla, chocolate, and we're going to launch strawberry probably next month, and those are going to have real freeze-dried strawberries in there, so you can make like a Neapolitan whey shake if you wanted to. Pre-workout should be back in stock February 22nd. Really stoked on that. It sold out so fast last time. We're going to launch Island Punch Caffeine, and we're going to do more beef tallow skincare products is really what I'm working on. I'm trying to dial in this one thing where it's going to be honey, beeswax, and beef tallow. That's going to be an amazing daily facial moisturizer. Honey is naturally exfoliating, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Beeswax is super nourishing for your skin. Really non-comedogenic, simple, but perfect. So I'll let you know when I launch that. Appreciate you guys so much. Keep it healthy. Keep moving. Much love.